Welcome in, you guys.
Right.
We are live. Welcome to Ghost Story Night. It's been a minute.
It's been quite some time since we did one of these. I can't even tell you the last time when we did a ghost story night.
I know we got busy with haunt season and then starting the podcast, but we've still been doing fun ghost adventures on the side and started another Instagram social page with our lead investigator here. She's starting it. And what is that called, Louise? Welcome in.
Hello. It's called Spirit Seekers Paranormal Investigators.
So that page shares our investigation team, obviously, with Luis and Matt here being head of the team. And if you go on that page on Instagram, you will see an introduction for the rest of the team. And the hopes of this page is to help people find us. And we will hopefully get the opportunity to do not only home investigations, but taking it a step further and helping people is really the root of it, and helping them with the cleansing. Do you want to talk about that, hun?
Yeah, well, we've done a few home investigations where they needed help. So we go in, we do like an interview beforehand to see what the activity is, usually, for the most part, the cleanses that we have done has been negative energies in the house.
Yes.
So we've done 3, right? We've done 2 in the same home, and then we did another home as well.
Yes.
So we've done 3. And well, I did my sister's house, but she really didn't have much going on there. So it was just for her peace of mind. So but we go in and we have a saging ritual that we do. So we have sage, we have protection oils, we have black salt, we have like all the good stuff to cleanse your home. We start in every single room. When we first start, we do a protection prayer for the team and for the family. And then we go from there and we do every single room, and we do the saging ritual in every single room. And we have to be very thorough. So we just don't wave the sage around a little bit and then leave. We do every single room, the bathroom, the kitchen, we're saging in the closets. We're getting every little nook and cranny to make sure that, they feel safe in their home. And that's the purpose of going into these home investigations, is to help people, to make them feel safe in their own home. And it's not a hobby or, oh, let's just go to this house for fun. It's genuinely, these people need help, and that's why we go in. So, so far it's been successful. We haven't really heard too much back. But then it's also up to the clients to do their work after we leave, to keep up the saging, the protections, and I always leave like extra salt. I leave sage for the client. I leave protection crystals, anything that's going to help them, I leave behind so that they can continue, because it's not a one and done and it's all magic and it disappears. It can potentially come back. So that's why we leave the tools with them after we leave. And then we keep in contact with them. And if they need us to come back, we always come back. So,
yeah. I think you can also, we just did one, what was it, about 6 weeks ago? We just went in and did the cleansing.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And that house, I guess, okay, it was the same client. We went to their first home and we did the saging ritual, and then they moved and they went to a different home. And whatever was there was following them. And then now they're in their third home. And then that's when they called again. Right. So it was whatever is there that is attached to someone in that home is following them wherever they go. So, and I want to go in again and do like a cleansing or a protection for each individual person.
Yeah.
But that just hasn't happened yet. you know.
Yeah.
So, and I have a feeling I know which person needs it the most, and she is never there, and her door is always locked, and we cannot get into her room.
That part.
So,
That part. Yeah, that doesn't help.
that's the part, because I think that's who it is. So we
And
can't,
I
our
think
hands are tied at that point, you know. So
it was the same way when we went into that house the first time. So we can talk a little bit about that. So
Mhm.
we went to the first house, invited to do the investigation. Um, and for me, that was the first time I had experienced the physical feeling of something exiting the home. At the
Yeah.
very end, we opened the front door as you were
Mhm.
saging and everything and asking it to leave. We actually felt something leave that room, that front door, and that was incredible.
Yeah, and they felt good for a while after. And there's only one little incident that, you know, something fell and scared them, like something flew off a shelf. But,
Mhm.
you know, who knows what that really could have been, you know? So, and then after that, we didn't hear much back, but I still like text and like, hey, how's everything? You know, I keep in touch. And then this house, it's funny because every time I reach out, then it's like, oh my gosh, it was so funny. I was just thinking about you. And this time, she sent me a video of her husband's back just covered with scratches. I'm like, okay, we'll come back.
Three scratches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we saw the leftover like scars when we went in that day. So, yeah. And then we proceeded to do every room. And then I'm like, well, I think we need to do a little bit more. So we went to the back 2 rooms to do extra stuff. And that's where it got a little bit more heavier for
Mhm.
us. And it made its presence known. You could
Yeah.
feel the energy change for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So
It was not happy with us.
no, not at
It
all.
definitely wasn't
So
happy.
no, it wasn't. So I have, you know, I asked her like, have you continued to do sage? Have you continued to do this? I'm pretty sure she has, but I don't think it's consistent. You know, and I really want to do a cleansing on like each person in the home, you know, and like
Good idea.
see what's going on, because I just to see, because I, and she also said like her father-in-law saw like a woman and like a spirit in his bedroom, and then one of her daughters was talking to somebody or heard a woman's voice.
Wow.
So yeah, so I want to go in there and like talk to each and every person, but the one person we need to talk to is never there. So, you know, unfortunately.
So kind of like a movie that takes us and shows us what happens at the end, and then it pulls you back to the beginning.
Mhm.
Why don't we walk everyone through what that looks like so we can share what we're doing when we get there, what you're bringing,
Okay.
how that investigation went, because we had a lot happen and quickly, and then it'll bring us to the close that we shared about something leaving that house,
Mhm.
and then the aftermath of now they've moved, something followed, and we still have work to do.
Yes. Well, the first, when we come in, we usually do, I believe we did the prayer outside, didn't we?
Yes.
We try to do it
Yeah,
outside.
we usually do a prayer with the team beforehand, and then we do an inside with the family as well. So we beforehand, like there's a paranormal, like Inland Empire paranormal group on Facebook, and she was reaching out. I'm like, oh hey, like I'll DM you, you know. So that's how I was introduced to her, and she was talking to me. She's like, um, were other teams that offered to come in, but they were asking for money. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Big red flag. No, you don't do that. Um, And we bonded and we talked, and she's like, I felt comfortable with you. I'm like, okay, we'll come out. We'll see what's going on. It's going to only bring a few members of our team. We're not going to bring the whole team because it's just overwhelming to bring that many people into a home where there's kids asleep while we're doing this, So we wanted to make it as intimate as possible and not cause more drama or like activity, So I talked to her for a little bit, and then there was another team that wanted to come in too, but I'm like, you know what? I don't know if that would be a good idea, because if you have us come in and we do a cleansing and then another team comes in after just to investigate, they can cause more issues, because they're not really there to help, So we talked for a while. We set up the investigation. We meet up outside. We do our protection prayer beforehand. We go inside, we talk, we introduce everybody. We talk a little bit, like a recap of what's going on with the home and what, if there's any physical, our lights are weird. So it'll flash like we have ghosts, or see, look at that. So, but after that, then we'll see what the activity is, if it's like physical, if they're seeing things, if things are being moved, all that stuff, or any little history, then we also have to ask too, do you take any drugs? Because drugs can cause hallucinations. So we need to know background stuff to make sure, that there's nothing else going on, to make sure that this is legit haunting, So we go in and we do that. And then when we were doing our protection prayer, we were in a circle holding hands. And we're right in the middle of the prayers when one of the doors to, I believe the father-in-law's bedroom, just slowly creaked open.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was pretty creepy to begin with. We barely were there, like maybe 10-15 minutes.
Wasn't there a loud noise too?
It might have been, yeah, but I remember that creak. I didn't see a door open though. You heard the creaking door, but I didn't see a door open at all.
Yeah.
So that was really weird. So, and at that point we did, we have the family participate in the saging ritual. So like I'll say the first sentence and then everybody repeats after me, because it's important to have the family involved. Like, this is their home. They need to say, I don't need you here. You're go to the light, get out of here, whatever. They need to be a part of it. So, and we did that the second time as well. And we go through every single room that's available. Unfortunately, there was 2 rooms that night that weren't available for us to go into. The one that's always locked, and then the one where the kids were sleeping. Right. So we really couldn't go in there and just, interrupt their sleep, And then the laser grid showed a couple of weird things too, I believe, in the hallway upstairs. Mm-hmm. I think that was a big one. I don't know. What about you? What did you remember from that night?
I remember salting the property. I remember going out the back and going along the whole property line with black salt to try to keep
we always
things from coming back in.
And with salting the property and doing a closing protection prayer as well. And then we always leave them tools. We did a cord cutting that night as well. I'll offer a cord cutting every time we go. The last time we went, I offered, I just gave them the tools to do it. So I don't know if they did it. We probably should have done it though, thinking about it now, but I'll text her tomorrow, see how things are going and see if we need to come back. But we usually spend like an hour or 2 maybe investigating, depending on, the homeowners and, if there's activity. If it's quiet, then we just kind of move on to the next thing. But it's about an hour or 2, depending on what needs to be done. So, but the cleansing, it takes time, and it's a very thorough cleansing that we do. So, and then we salt the property, and then we leave them the tools that they need to continue on because it doesn't, again, it's not a one and done,
No.
there's homework after we leave, so, but what was your experience with that? Because I know you were live that night, and I know you said that some of the followers like heard something or saw something.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one of the reasons we like to record. And sometimes we're not live, but it's going into a private video that, isn't shown to anyone at that moment. But it's nice because sometimes there's things that you can hear only that's picked up by the microphone.
Yeah.
Or sometimes something you can see because you're looking over here and it's happening over there. Be it an orb, but a lot of it is sound. A lot of it is sound, and people saying, "Hey, I heard this," and we can't hear it. So it's neat to have your audience with you live. So that's pretty cool because where do you get that, especially for a home investigation? But they are picking up on the things too. So it's like we really have a bigger investigation team there at that time. They're just not all in body in that house.
Exactly.
I remember at the beginning, I feel like there was some kind of loud bang. And then they went and checked on the dad, but there was nothing that made sense to make that noise.
Yeah, that's right. I think I do remember that. Yeah, it's been a while since we've been there.
That was like in the very beginning. I don't know if the camera was on yet at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was. Yeah. Not sure.
I know when we were upstairs, we kind of, debunked a lot of things because of the wooden floors were floated floors.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what we were experiencing had to do with the floating floors and kind of craft with some closet door moving. At first, it causes a little excitement, but then you investigate why did that happen, and you get your answer, and so you move on.
Yeah, exactly.
It was later when we all gathered in the front room and dining room area that you could feel a presence.
Yeah.
And I know in those moments you were asking questions.
I think wasn't it with the daughter?
Yeah.
At that time? Yeah. Yeah, we were asking her because she was experiencing some stuff, but they woke her up. So I don't think she was all like, with us and awake, poor thing. So, but wasn't it like she saw a little girl?
Yeah.
It was a little girl. Yeah.
It was something. I'm going to have to dig up the video and reshare or something so people can go through and see what that was about. But yeah, there was definitely an energy in that room at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And were you using your dowsing rods in there?
I think I was. I don't know if it was during when I was talking to the little girl. I think it was like before or after, maybe. But I know I did some automatic writing that night too, but I don't think anything was really meshing with that night. So
explain what that means. What is automatic writing for someone that has no idea what you're talking about?
Okay, well, if you watch like Dead Files or anything with Cindy Kaza, she does it. So I'm like, I'm gonna give it a try. So I gave it a try. I put noise canceling headphones on when I do it, and I might have somebody in a different room ask questions, and then whatever comes to me, because I do have abilities. I'm clairvoyant. I don't want to say psychic medium because I'm not full on like she is, So, but I do have abilities. I'm an empath. I have clairvoyance and some of the other clairs. So, somebody will ask a question and I don't want to hear it. So whatever comes to me, then I write it down. And then we kind of compare the questions to the answers and see if anything, lines up, but that night it really didn't, for me, it didn't mesh well. It was just kind of random, So I didn't do that for the rest of the night. I'm like, it's not working for me tonight. So other nights I do well with it. you know? So
Yeah.
it's just kind of depends on like what comes through for me and if anybody wants to communicate. So the one day at Kellogg House,
Mhm.
it was, yeah, because there was somebody not behaving properly and the spirits were getting mad.
Yeah.
So that one was probably the most accurate one because they were not happy, you know? So that one definitely was, you know, and then for some reason I felt like an energy block as well because of there was some one of the people that was investigating us was bringing a lot of negative energy. And unfortunately, like she did ask, oh, can I go live? I'm like, yeah, sure. But she went live for the whole entire thing. And the people who were on her live were not positive people and were, hey, I contact this person. I'm psychic and I talk to this serial killer and all this horrible stuff. And I'm like, they're mad, you know? I'm like, and this person is live and she wasn't even on the team. She was just a guest and she like took over stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just not a good experience. So I had a block at one point. And then it was just she was ticking everybody off, you know, human and spirit form. So she's not allowed back. So I don't even talk to her no more. And I'm like, that's to move on, have a great life, move on, you know, but it's just, I don't want to, that's somebody you don't want to bring into like a home investigation, especially a home one, because those homeowners, that family doesn't need any negative stuff coming into the home. You know, we're there to help rid the home of any negative energy if we can, you know? So that's why when we do home investigations, we keep the team small.
Yeah.
You know, we don't bring like 10 people like, hey, we're doing a ghost hunt. You want to come? Like, no, this is somebody's home. This is where they have to live. And this is what they have to live with. So we don't mess around with that. We take those very seriously. Other ones like public ones, those are more like, okay, this is just, you know, I wouldn't say fun, but it's a good experience to get some practice, to use some tools, but you still have to have respect for the dead wherever you go. You have to have respect. You can't just jump in and provoke and to be disrespectful to the team members or, you know, especially the spirits, because you just don't do that. That's a big, huge no-no in ghost hunting. You just do not do that. So, yeah, it's, there's certain rules and do's and don'ts that you do for investigating, you know, and you know, once you went on your first investigation, you learned, you know, a lot of things that you do and you don't do, you know? So, I'm just getting on the chat because I totally forgot there's a chat on this thing. So I don't know if there's any questions or anything. So I'm like, oh yeah, there's a chat. Duh. So hi everybody. I don't know if I missed anything. So ask me again or ask.
Yeah, let us know. Okay, so speaking of tools,
Yes.
show us what we've got and how we use them.
Okay, so I have like the fun ones to show. So I'll start with your favorite, Jolene. So you like the trigger objects that we have. These are little cat balls.
I love these.
So you lay them down on the floor and they once it turns off, they light up if something gets close to them or like something, you know, moves them, or if there's like a footstep next to them or something. So obviously if there's nothing happening around it, it's not going to light up. But if now, so there you go. If something hits it or interacts with it, it'll light up. So we've had this work at the Kellogg House for us.
And as you can see, it's not very sensitive either. It's
you have to have
something's gotta
hit it.
Gotta get it pretty good.
So we have a few of these. So super cheap on Amazon or even at Target. You can get those. So it has a little red button right there. You just push it. It'll turn on. You wait for it to stop. And then you see if anything happens. But this worked well in the kitchen of the Kellogg house. We had a lot of movement. And then we tried to debunk it. I walked close to see if it would work. I don't think it did. And then it would just randomly go off. So it's a good trigger object, especially if there's children that have passed on. It's balls. Like, hey, do you want to play? You know, move the ball, you know? So, so these are a really good one to have. So we have that. My favorite is the dowsing rods. These are my favorite. It's more of a spiritual divination tool, you know. I always you ask questions, always yes or no questions. So I always do you cross yes and away for no. So these are my favorite. We'll have these on the investigation on the 31st as well. We'll have all of this with us. And we do have another really cool one coming in the mail, hopefully soon. So we'll talk about that one too. So, and then we have a thermal camera. So it's kind of like the, you know, the thermal imagers that like ghost hunters and like, you know, all those teams do, but it's a little more low tech than what they have because they have the $1,000 version and this is like the $200 version. So, you know, there you go. We have that. We have the K2. So this one will obviously it'll light up. So if something gets close or if you ask a question, it'll light up. One just lit. Oh, see, it's lighting up now. So, you know,
we had a lot of luck with that one at the house in Downey.
Oh, well, look at that. Yeah.
That was the first time I had really seen that put to use. And that was through the asking of questions and that just lighting up with yes and no answers. Make it light up for yes, don't light up for no. And it was just hitting as chaos in that moment because you were in one room doing something with someone and I was with the homeowner and she was asking the questions and that thing was just
we were in the daughter's room.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know why it's lighting up now, but
it could be
Your
sometimes sometimes phones or other electronic devices will light these up, so you got to be careful with that too.
But it's lighting up, so but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad spirit. It could just be a spirit. It could be my spirit guides around me because I have a lot of those. So, but that's our K2, so it's really cool. And then we have our REM pod, which is pretty cool. This one we had luck at the mortuary that we went to.
We did.
So if something gets close, it'll light up or make noise.
So right now it's picking us up. So
So it's us. So, but it's pretty cool. So that's that one, and I'm just going to turn it off because it'll get annoying after a while. That's our REM pod. So we'll have that on the 31st as well. Do we have our ghost box? So this is the one that does the radio frequencies. So, and then ghosts are supposed to be able to communicate through it, and you'll hear words. So you'll ask a question, and if you'll hear words through it, then, you know, those are your answers. You know, I find this a little difficult to understand sometimes, you know, but you like it.
I like it. I like a clear one though. Sometimes, you know, depending upon what you have, they're not always very clear, or it's very hard to understand the words that are popping out. So yeah, it's always better to have a good version of one of these.
Yeah, so I'll turn it on. So
S box.
I'll turn it on.
FM. No ve al niño Jesús y lo ve donde a María abrazándolo. Primero le dice
Spanish channel
now
right
it's
now.
just straight picking up the channel.
So you'll have the static, like, you know, and then if you hear
words in between,
then
and they're answering your questions,
then it, it coincides. So, and then this is one of my other favorites. It's the laser grid.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that worked really well when we did the Kellogg house the first time.
yeah.
And
So
we saw a visual shadow, if you will, go through it.
Yeah.
Upstairs.
Yeah. The good thing about this one is this one is a push button one, which you have to hold, but then obviously your hands are shaking,
Yeah.
So I have a little a stand for it. Sorry, I just blinded my husband. Sorry. So it'll hold down the button and you don't have to hold it. So it'll be, it's like a tripod for it. So it's awesome. We don't have to hold it anymore. So it's pretty cool. So that's that one. And then we have an EMF detector.
Yeah.
And this just picks up EMF, ranges and stuff like that. So if there's anything, this could be like, electrical devices, anything like in the walls, or anything, if there's anything weird. I know we had one in that one house where it was a little weird, but I think there was like like what is it? The box, the fuse box. Yeah, electrical box or something behind the wall. That's why it was making it go off. So that's that one. And I think those are all the ones that I brought out just for today. But we do have a really cool one coming. I'm so super excited about this one. So I'm hoping it will be here in the next week or so. But we got the dead bell, which is like the old school, like hotel bells that you would just tap and it would go ding, So it's hooked up to like an EMF or K2 or whatever inside of it. And if anything comes close to it, or if you ask any questions or whatnot, the bell will ring. So that one's super cool.
If you're going with us on May 31st, we will hopefully have that with us.
Yes, hopefully. Yeah. Fingers crossed it will be here by then. So, for sure.
Awesome. I find that everyone seems to have what is favorite to them. Wendy Girl, she had mentioned that she really likes her recorder. I think you are really good with the rods.
Yeah, the rods are my favorite for sure.
Yeah, I think you have a really good connection with that. I like the little trigger things, like you said, the cat balls. Yeah. And I'm thinking the bell is going to be a fun one as well. But I find by watching others, some people have a lot of luck with the spirit box, where maybe we don't have as much of a connection to that. But after going to Downey, I definitely did better with that other tool. What was it? The one that lit up? Why is it
the K2?
The K2. Thank you. It was on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
I wanted to say K2, but was thinking EMF.
Well, it's kind of the same thing in a sense.
Similar.
Yeah, it's just this one's easier to read because it lights up, and this one doesn't have a light.
Those numbers.
So you have to like shine a flashlight on it to read it. And it, if you're in the dark, it's not going to be any good for you, So, yeah. And then we have like a thermometer, like a laser thermometer, so we could check like temperature changes in the atmosphere, like in different rooms. We also have like a really good Nikon camera that we use. I use a voice recorder on my phone, so I don't have to carry 10,000 little things with me. We also have a scrying mirror as well, and that one's pretty cool. We've done that once at the mortuary that we went to, and it only was doing weird things for the girls in the group, not the guys. I'm like, that's not fair, because it was really weird. Like, we kept looking in the mirror, and then like our features would change. And I'm like, why? And then like Damien's been like, nothing's happening. And I'm like, that's not fair. So, and then when he used it, nobody, it was only the girls, like our features changed. It was really odd.
Scary. Yeah.
So I could bring that the 31st, and I don't know if I want to use it that night, but I'll let people like see it, and like look at it. I don't know if I necessarily want to use it that night, just because mirrors are a portal per se, and I don't know if I want a lot of people interacting with that, because it's more of a personal tool, So that one might we won't take to the investigation. We'll show before when we go over everything, and then we'll teach everybody how to use each of the tools, and then if we're in groups, some people in this group will have this tool, or we'll all be in one group so we could all experience the bell, so we definitely want to make sure everybody gets a chance to use everything or to experience everything, so that's really important, because if you want to do this on your own, you need to know what kind of tools there are, how to use them properly, and we'll go over tips and tools like do's and don'ts, beforehand. So, just that and safety things. Safety is a big, huge thing with investigations. So you want to make sure like everybody needs to participate in the opening and closing prayers. We have oils, we have crystals, whatever you feel like you will keep you safe, then you use, so.
Absolutely. Speaking of the mortuary, you've got some exciting news that we just got minutes ago.
Yes, so we are invited back to the mortuary. This will be our third time. Our first time was with K-Frog Radio for the morning show with Kelly and Guy. Guy, unfortunately, is no longer at the radio station, so there's a new co-host. So I'm hoping maybe we can get them to join us again. But technically, we've been K-Frog's ghost hunting team for some years now. My sister was listening to it and she's like, dude, like message them on Facebook. I'm like, okay, right. And immediately they got back to me. I'm like, cool. So we've done like three or four investigations with the radio station, which is super fun and super cool. And they're adorable. And, I was interviewed once on the radio at the morning show about one of my experiences and stuff like that. So they're awesome to work with. And Guy was a big skeptic when he went in there. And he came out all sweaty and like, what the heck just happened? So it was cool to have a skeptic in there and to have him experience what we experience and what we see, so it was pretty cool. So, but hopefully I can text Kelly and see if they want to come. So, but we're going to the mortuary again. So our team will be there. We do have a few other team members that have gone with us in the past that you haven't met yet, and we did invite them to come. So I'm not sure if they will be there, but so it's just it's a mortuary, and then there's a morgue and downstairs, and then there's a living area upstairs. So it's like a full-on like home upstairs. So we get to investigate all of it. We don't investigate the morgue, but we did get a tour of the morgue the first time that we went. So, and that was an experience for sure. It was a lot. That's something that you see on TV and you're like, oh, okay, but it's nothing like what you see on TV at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's there's smells, there's just
you can't
things that I mean,
you think you can prepare for that, and I thought I did. Yeah, I thought I did. I thought I went in there as a stone cold fox, and I got rocked.
Yeah,
I did. I literally got rocked. I had to step away, way away, because it really, the sheer number of clients there and the smell and everything else, it was overwhelming, and that was a one and done situation. I don't ever want to do that again. That was enough.
I think Kelly and Guy were very just like, they didn't want to go in. I think I was the only one who actually walked in to the area with the bodies. So I didn't feel any negative or weird energy. It was just, there. But the smell is very overwhelming. And then when we first got there, they had somebody who just passed away, like, hours before we got there.
Yeah.
So
they were just being worked on.
Yeah.
They were just being prepared for services. And we didn't know that when we walked in. We walked in and then it was like, boom, there he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was incredible.
And just to know that they still had like overflow from like the county there. And
a lot of John and Jane Does, a lot of people that are just in limbo.
Never got claimed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think
hard. That's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also I think there's some people from COVID time, like the lockdown time, where they were not, claimed or anything. So they had to hold on to them. I don't know what the time frame is. I'm not sure, but and then
some of them it seemed like quite a while even.
Yeah, there was some that were there for years, unfortunately. So that was just sad. I mean, there was a sad energy with that. And then there's like the kids. There was a section with kids, and I'm like, okay, well, I was the only one who went into that part. So so there is a question. I have a question. Is there a place they have investigated that they will not go back to, and why? Heck yeah.
That's a good question.
We were talking about this on the way home from work today. So there is this one,
without saying names,
house. Okay, so how it came to be was I am a special needs nurse, and I would take my patient to school. And one of his schoolmates' father says, hey, he's into ghosty stuff. But then also, like, I know somebody who lived on the property of where the chicken coop murders took place. Like Wineville, like the movie The Changeling with Angelina Jolie. It's like back in the 1920s, this dude kidnapped and murdered a bunch of little boys. So he would take them back to that area and throw them in a chicken coop and did horrible, horrible things to these little boys, right? So I did some research, and that house or that is technically still there, but back in the day, that property, because there was like ranches and farms, that those properties were bigger. But now they're zoned out to smaller properties. So there's a house here, there's a house here. When back in the day, there's the house, and then there's all this land, Yeah. So technically, this dude's house was on the land, not right next to the chicken coop, but it was on the land. And he said that, I think some of the kids from the chicken coop murders are in my home. They're haunting it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. So he rented the home. It wasn't his home. So I went to a metaphysical store to get some stuff, and there was a lady there, and she overheard me talking to the people who work there. She's like, I'm a psychic witch. I'm like, okay, cool. You want to help? She's like, yeah, I can come help. I'm like, sweet. So I didn't tell her anything. I wanted to make sure she was catching on what we were told and what was going on. So, so we went to this house, and the first group that went in were all female, and we had a lot of activity. And then she's like, just talking, but I guess she was talking to whatever was there. And then at that point, she's like, what's your name? And she's like, why are you hiding? And she followed it, and it went into a closet, apparently, right? And I'm following her. I'm like, okay, what's going on, And then we took a break, and then the guys went in. Nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. I'm like, okay, well, let's bring some of the women in. Most of the women on that team had abilities. We were all sensitive, empaths, psychics, something. Everybody except for like one person. So we took a break and like, okay, let's bring some of the guys in and then the girls, because it was happening for us. And we were all standing in the living room, and I was behind the couch. And I guess there was like a Native American spirit that was there as our guide. So she says that there was somebody there with her. And then then we'll talk about do's and don'ts in a minute. Okay. So I was standing by the couch, and then I felt like something hit my back. And I'm like, ooh. And then I immediately went to her. I'm like, is it the closet thing? Is it the closet thing? She's like, yeah, get the sick one out. Get the sick one out. Okay, mind you, I went to this investigation with a cold. I was vulnerable. I was weaker than I should have been. I was a target. So if you're in a headspace or physically where you are not 100%, you can easily be a target. And I am a big thing where protection is a big thing for me. And we did all of the protections that we needed to do. But I was weak that night. I was sick. And then I got jumped. And then immediately after that, I felt so sick. I think I was like, an hour after? Dry heaving, trying to throw up for like an hour after. Yeah. It was bad. And then my friend Diane, she came over and she's like, I'm saging you. And then it was really weird. We both felt it leave at the same time. We felt whatever was trying to attach leave, right? And the psychic girl was just sitting there. And I'm like, girl, do something, help me, She was just sitting there, like she was just like out of it. And I'm like, and I asked her later, like, what was going on? She's like, no, she was either like, I don't know, like a trance or something. I don't know what it was, but she said that something else came in to protect me. And she said it was like an archangel. I'm like, okay. And she told me, who it was, all this stuff. And so I've adopted that archangel to be my homegirl. So I always call upon her for everything. Every day she's there. So that is the place that we will never go. And then later on, we found out, we did some more digging, that this guy has contacted multiple paranormal groups and TV shows just to get,
and people will book deals, stuff
just
like
to
that.
get a deal or something. Yeah. So he was shady, and we found out that he was the one that was bringing stuff into the home.
Not even his home. He was renting it.
Yeah. So wow. It was him.
So this home was on the land of the true story of the changeling.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll never go.
Yeah, we were actually told by a priest not to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know that I would play with that one. That's for sure. Wow.
And I talked to a pastor after it happened, who he works with paranormal groups, which is pretty cool. And I talked to him, and it was funny. He's like, you weren't scared? I'm like, no, I was more ticked off than anything that something tried to jump me. I was mad.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, how dare you, But that was the worst ghost story for me, because that was not fun. And then there's a question about crystals. I'll get to that in a minute. But the good thing about after that happened was that my abilities got stronger. And I was able to communicate and see and hear more than I did beforehand.
Wow.
So there's a positive. So so that was the worst one for me. And then having to watch his wife like trying to throw up a lung, that was not fun, But as far as crystals, we bring.
Well, this one's a different question.
Yeah. What crystals do you recommend for protection in a house with a haunting? Black tourmaline is really good. Hematite, selenite is really good. And then the other question was
Which one do we take
which
with us?
I pretty much take those with me. So I always have selenite with me, black tourmaline, hematite. I wear protection bracelets. You know, I wear them, or they're in my backpack all the time. Yeah, tiger's eye and obsidian is really good. And then like selenite for cleansing people afterward. You know, selenite is a good cleanser. So yeah. But the Changeling movie, it's
There's two different ones.
this one is by Clint Eastwood. The Changeling movie that I'm talking about.
right.
So yeah, and funny story, it filmed by my old work, which was cool. So me and my two friends went like being nosy that day. We walked a couple streets over and we saw them film, and Clint Eastwood was in a van driving by and he waved to us. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So
That's
it was
cool.
pretty neat.
I
So
remember watching that movie. It rocked me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
yeah, it's a very good movie, but a very hard watch.
It's
You
a
know,
hard
there's
one, yeah. It sticks
such
with you.
yeah, it's such a great movie. Like he did an amazing job on it, and Angelina Jolie was beautiful in it, and it was just, you know, an awesome movie. But it's, yeah, just be prepared for, you know, a hard watch with that one. So
Yeah, it was a hard watch.
for sure. But that would be the place I would never go back to. Specifically that property. If we did something at another property around it, maybe, I don't know, but I don't know, it just depends, you know. But I specifically, if that dude still lived there, no. Nothing to do with that guy.
Yeah, that was that all came from him, unfortunately. Had it not been a person that was doing that type of stuff in the home, it could have been a lot different, or would have been a lot different.
Yeah,
It was more like an antagonistic thing. We went in there, we were expecting, you know, possibly kids. That is what he was telling us. Kids that might have been harmed during this, but it turned out to be something completely different. Something he was bringing in that was no good.
yeah.
And
The
you got to be careful when you do these types of things, because you got to kind of put your trust in these people, and you have no idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and then the psychic lady, she said that he called him the collector, like he was collecting spirits. They called him that. And I'm like, oh. And then the mirror in the bathroom was like doing weird stuff. Like my friend Erin, she was recording and she said that she saw like symbols, or like it looked like hieroglyphics or something in through the screen. But that girl is like 10 feet tall. And I'm like, I can't see nothing because, you know, I'm 4'10" and she's like way up here. I'm like, girl, like I can't see nothing. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But she saw stuff in the screen of
In the view screen of the camera, yeah.
on the mirror. So
Wow.
he was told to get rid of the mirror, like to bury it, I believe.
We were also told to get rid of all of our evidence. We were told to get rid of our recordings.
No, I told everybody get rid of it because he's not getting anything.
Oh no,
So,
I thought
no, that was me.
us. Oh, okay.
That was
My
me.
bad.
I'm like, you don't get nothing because you lied, and
Wow.
you put people at risk.
Risk.
You don't get your evidence now. You don't get your book or your movie or TV deal through us, although we had no pull with that anyway, you know. So and then there was a weird picture that was taken inside the living room, which is really weird. Like they tried to debunk it and it just didn't it didn't make sense, but it was really weird. It looked like a black figure that was like holding out its arm like this and its head was tilted. So it didn't look a head, like it was like this. It was really weird. But the weird thing is, it's like the guy that set up the investigation, the father of the classmate of my patient, it looked like him. I'm like, why does it look like your kid? Because your kid does the same exact body movements at school. And I'm like, why does it look like this little kid? You know? And I'm like, did you just like Photoshop your kid onto this and say you caught this? Because I'm like, that looked like he does this all the time at school.
Yeah.
You know, because I think he had like
kind of like a shadow, right?
Yeah, it looked like a shadow. It was just completely black. And it was just like, I see that every day at work. So I'm like, I see this kid do this tick or whatever it is every day, you know, and I'm like, so I completely cut ties with everybody. So yeah, it was just, you know.
I don't know what to say about.
Yeah. So there's a question about ley lines.
Ley lines.
Yeah.
We don't know a lot about ley lines. I know they're, you know, I mean, I've heard that people can do that. They're really powerful. Amplify stuff. But I don't know a lot more about them, to be honest. I haven't really looked into them or studied them very much. So it's hard to talk about those.
Yeah. So there's also a question about snacks. What's a good investigation snack?
Is that
Well,
Slim?
first of all, depending upon the place you're at, you may not want to eat snacks, because if you're in like some kind of museum setting or something, you know, they may not want you to eat like snacks or drink things, because if you spill anything, it might, you know, it might damage something.
Yeah.
Guess it
but
depends on where we're at.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we've taken chips. You know, we take whatever sometimes.
I would definitely bring water. Water's a good one. Bring something to hydrate, because for, you know, if anything were to happen and you felt sick or something, you need something to like hydrate, or
you don't want to be
even a juice or something like that. You can bring that. That's fine. If it's an outdoor investigation, you can bring whatever. Usually before or after we go grab something to eat.
Yeah.
You know, so I know for the investigation on the 31st, we are meeting at a restaurant beforehand to get to know each other, you know, talk about the tools, you know, that we'll be using and where we're going and all that stuff like that. So people are more than welcome to eat beforehand, you know, but something that's, you know.
Yeah, be careful how noisy it is too. Like, you know, you don't want to eat like really noisy chips while you're trying to do a recording or something, because then, you know, it could contaminate your evidence. But
maybe something made of bread, or not easy packaging or something like that, or maybe just walk away.
Yeah. Chocolate's a good one. You can bring chocolate. That's totally fine.
Oh, yeah.
Always good. Chocolate's always good. Yeah, you know, and sometimes investigations, if allowed, can take hours and hours and hours. So not, I mean, it is something definitely to take into consideration to keep yourself strong, and part of that is making sure you're not hungry and not feeling well because you're hungry, and so definitely something to take into consideration.
Yeah, for sure. And we have brought holy water. That was brought up. We have our last cleansing that Jolene and I did. We brought holy water, and we used it on all of the doorways of the home. So we do that one. There's another question. Do y'all have a bucket list of places you would like to investigate, and if so, where? Do you guys have any place that you would want to go?
You know what? I do. One of them right now, there's a page I follow, actually. It's called the Vocal Victorian. And if you're in the Southern California area, you may know about this house. But the owners right now are staying the night at the Lizzie Borden house. And it was active immediately. I might be interested in something more high profile like that. Obviously, I would love to do something at the Winchester Mansion. And so to piggyback on that, it's kind of hard when it's a tour. It's kind of hard when it's a tour, because it's really just more of a visual storytelling. Maybe you know, maybe, oh, we have experienced this, we have experienced that. not you're going to actually experience the things. Because
Exactly.
there's a bunch of people, there's a bunch of noise, and so it's not necessarily the right opportunity for you to actually experience something like that.
Exactly.
So definitely, I think Salem.
Yes.
Here around here, I would love to go back to the Kellogg. To be honest with you, if that opportunity ever arises again, I think that there is a connection to that house for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling of a definite connection to that house. Love that house.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Also, the Heritage Museum in Los Angeles, that row of Victorians right there. The church. That would be a really neat place maybe to have an opportunity to do an investigation.
I know the Octagon house is supposed to be the most active house on that property, and it's not. It could be very negative in that house. So I've never been there before, so I have looked into doing investigations. That would be awesome. I'll have to look into it again, but I know they do a lot of spooky events there.
Yeah,
And
we just did spooky swapping there. It was our first time, and I liked it. I really liked it.
That's good. Cool. What about you, Damien? What would you want to do?
Oh man, there's quite a bit. I mean, for obvious reasons, it sounds cliche, and I think everyone's done it. But I visited there, but never had the opportunity. Obviously, be the Queen Mary in Long Beach.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's obviously plenty of documentation of that ship, but I want to experience it for myself, not just be there for their Halloween event or their year-round ghost tour that they do with the tour guide.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to just block out some time and just investigate that whole entire ship, because that place is haunted.
Yeah.
It's
That
very,
place
very
is awesome. Yeah.
The wartime things that ship went through, the injured people, aside from just normal cruise ship clientele back in the day, that ship's got some stories for sure, some history.
Yeah. They like oh god, maybe like 14 before I met him 14 years ago. They're doing the tours again, but they did the tours back in the day, and I've done it like 3 or 4 times or something, and they took you to the pool, they took you to the engine room, they took you all the way down to the cargo hold, which for me was the most active, because that's where they said they kept POWs from World War II. And then also it was part of the ship where they have this story during World War II. It was called the Gray Ghost. So they had other ships. The Queen Mary would be going through, and then you could see like the water, where she was, So they had other ships, break that up so she wasn't trackable, And at one point, one of the ships and Queen Mary also, they collided. And that where the cargo hold, I guess that's in that area. So, and there were some deaths with that one as well. So for me, that's the most haunted part. The pool, they claim that there's a portal in like the dressing rooms. I really didn't feel much then. For me, it was the cargo hold for sure.
Wow.
So, but one place for me that I would love to go is the Villisca Axe Murder House.
Yeah.
I would love to go there. But that one is going to be pretty heavy if you ever did that one. That would be a bucket list for me. Any of the ones back east, like Trans-Allegheny, all of that stuff is like crazy, would be awesome to go to. Yeah, all of those, there's a prison in Arizona, I think like Ghost Hunters did, or there was a TV show that went there, and that place is like really super heavy. That would be kind of cool to like. What was that?
That would be neat. A prison, or even maybe an old mental institution type setting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then I would love to do Salem. obviously, and then I've done to Alcatraz, you know, on the regular tour, but that would be a pretty cool place to investigate.
Mhm.
So, and then what else? There was Winchester
Someone,
Mystery House would be cool.
you had a question earlier from Brady. Says, can you ask if they went to a Hobo Hill House in Missouri? I don't know if I've ever heard of that one before.
Mm.
No.
No, we've only done California stuff.
Yeah,
We
in
haven't,
state right
you
now.
know, in
Yeah.
state for sure. So,
Mhm.
I want to go to Tombstone.
Yes, Tombstone, Birdcage
Yeah,
Theater.
that's a good one.
Definitely that
Uh,
one.
Gettysburg would be amazing.
And then
Yeah,
Brian
that's a
mentioned
list one
Stanley
right
Hotel.
Stanley Hotel would
Stanley
be cool.
Hotel would be awesome.
But I think Gettysburg would probably be really, really cool.
Mhm.
That would be amazing to go to. So,
stories come
Yeah.
out of there.
yeah. So, but Alcatraz would be awesome to do. Just like an investigation on your own, you know. I've done the Whaley House a couple of times, but we haven't done the actual investigation. Those are available. We've just done the tours. I actually just went last month with my friend Kathy. We did the nighttime tour.
Wow.
That was the first time I felt something there.
Okay.
Like, normally I don't really feel much, but that was the first time that I felt something there. Oh, and then someone said the Cecil Hotel.
That'd be nice.
The Cecil.
If you can get in there, I heard it's not that easy sometimes, but as far as being able to allow to go in there, but
those are people homes, you know. So that's, you know, kind of, and it's not a good neighborhood, and I don't know if I'd want to go there, you know, just because of safety issues, you know. So, but Bobby Mackey's, I heard, is really
No, that was torn down.
yeah.
Oh, was it?
Hasn't
No?
it?
I thought it
I
was
think
just
it burned
torn down.
I thought it burned down a couple of times. I know it burned down once, but I know Ghost Adventures has been there.
Yeah. I remember when they went there, but I thought it was just maybe not. Another investigator we know just recently went. I thought he said it was torn down.
Oh, torn down. Oh, I don't know.
In Kentucky.
Yeah,
right?
Gettysburg. I don't know.
Maybe it's still there.
Might be. Oh, and
No.
another place.
It was demolished in December of 2024.
Oh, so just recently. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And another good one.
Moved.
No, what happened?
Moved and or demolished. I'm not sure which.
Oh.
I think it's there. I don't think the structure's there anymore.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, this will say they're rebuilding it.
Yeah. The Pike Place Market. No.
In Long Beach?
Is it Long Beach?
Pike Place, the one in Seattle or
No, we haven't been there.
Mm-mm.
Another good one, we just saw it when we were in San Diego, is Star of India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Did you guys do that one before?
We've done it. I've done it twice.
Yeah.
I did it a couple times myself, yes.
So that was a while ago. I don't know if they still offer private investigations like they did back in the day. They do tours, but when we did it, we had full run of the ship for like however long we wanted. And the guy was like, "Call me when you're done." And he just left. We had nobody there. He just let us have at it. It was really, really cool. Such a beautiful ship. I have a picture on my Instagram, and it's just beautiful. It's so gorgeous. And there was like a story that one of the sailors named John fell from like where the sails. He was like on the mast.
Nest, I think.
Yeah, and he fell and he died. And I don't know what other stories there were. I'll have to look it up, but that's an amazing ship. So if you're in San Diego, go look it up because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So
That's really
that's a
neat.
really
I know
good one.
I've been there, but I don't think I've boarded the ship.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to do like a trip down there or something, and then maybe do like Whaley House, you know. So I think that like the investigations for Whaley House is like up to 10 people or something. I don't know. I'll have to look. So
The cost, you definitely need a group because the costs can be pretty substantial.
Yeah, some of these places, unfortunately, it's hard to investigate because they will cost something.
Yeah, they want your money, which
Or unless you have ties to TV or something, then they're more than happy to let you come in so that you'll record and put it on air, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
So,
You never know. You never know.
yeah.
So
You know, but
for those people that are in the Southland and are wanting to do an investigation with the Living Dead fan, with Spirit Seekers Paranormal here, we are going out to a location in Southern California, in the LA area on March 31st. So DM
May.
us. Yeah,
May.
this month. Sorry, did I say March? I don't know why. May
Been a day.
31st. It's been a day. May 31st. This month. Just about 3 weeks ish away.
Yes.
Go ahead, send us a message, a DM. You can either email us, the livingdeadfamily@gmail.com, or DM us on Instagram. We're most active there, and let us know, and we'll have you fill out a form, just so we know that you're coming, and then we'll give you the location at that time. We're not giving the location out openly because we don't want people just randomly showing up that watch this that we don't know, for the safety of everybody involved. So we're excited.
Yes.
I know we've got a few signed up. We've got a few more limited spaces, but if you guys, a lot of you say, hey, we want to do that with you, this is your opportunity to come, to learn how to do it, to learn how to protect yourself, to be with someone who's experienced at this, to be in a group setting, which is safer. And yeah, just come have a good time with us.
For sure. Definitely. We'd love to have you come. We'll have you fill out the form. We'll give you the info. And then before the investigation, we're meeting beforehand to go over, you know, the do's and don'ts, the stuff that you agree to when you fill out our form. And then we'll go over all the tools, and then we'll put everybody in groups and then go from there. So it'll be fun. We're looking forward to it.
Question for both of you guys. So if someone's out watching this right now that wants to get into investigating, you already did show a while ago your tools and equipment. If someone's on a real tight budget, what out of the tools you guys have, or maybe you don't have, what would you recommend for someone that's just going cheap, that's like I said, it's really on a tight budget? What kind of tools could you recommend to our friends here?
Well, definitely, flashlights are always, you always need a flashlight.
Make sure you definitely bring plenty of flashlights.
Yeah, batteries.
Batteries, yeah.
My suggestion would be the first tool that we had was like a voice recorder. That was the first one that we ever did, and those are
not too bad. I mean,
not too bad. Or you could do one on your phone.
Decent ones, or you could do it on your phone, yeah.
You know, other than that, like the
triggered objects,
the K2 isn't very badly
K2.
priced. This is pretty affordable. Any trigger objects like this, the
dowsing rods
are reasonable. This is the REM pod and like the camera. These cost. This was like more like 180. This was like 200.
The bell.
The dead bell was a little over 200. The spirit box, I think this was under 100, something like 80 or something like that. It was like 80.
All of these, there's multiple price ranges.
Yeah,
but the lower you spend them, you'll get a little bit lower quality. But
the laser grid is affordable. You can do that one. Anything on Amazon, you just look up ghost hunting tools. You'll get a wide range of like the FLIRs are more expensive. Those are like thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
This one was from Harbor Freight Tools for like 200,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was on sale. Or I think we got it a little less than 200 because there was a coupon or something.
Uh-huh.
But this is not, high tech.
Yeah.
It really isn't,
It's like the ones that like firefighters have, those FLIR cameras, those are the ones that most ghost hunting shows use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
Those are a lot
that
more expensive.
a ghost hunting show has is going to be probably thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Wow.
Like the EMF tripwires. I was talking to Jolene about that. I want those, but those are like, what was it, like $400, I think, for just a line of lights,
Wow.
So I would start off with like, laser grid, the EMF, the EVP recorders, the voice recorders, a K2 is really good to have, a good camera, or if you have a good camera on your phone, just to start off, because we started off with nothing, and we've gradually gotten more and more as we go.
Mhm.
And there's another really good one. It's a music box one,
Huh.
and it's like shaped in a coffin. And if something gets close to it, just like the bell, it'll play like that creepy music box
Oh, my
music.
gosh.
And I'm like, but that one's like $400. So I'm like,
Oh, dear.
okay, yeah, we'll probably wait on that one. And then there's like a geophone that like Expedition X like had, but that goes into like thousands. So it's just like, okay, so you kind of have to, just collect the cheaper stuff and then upgrade as you go and then get the cooler stuff. And you don't necessarily have to have all this, I mean, the best tool is yourself, your
Mhm.
senses, the feeling you get, your personal experience.
Yeah. Most often you're going to have more personal experiences than picking anything up. So you got to know that from the start. It's, you're not always going to get things on recording. Getting something on camera, you're going to be lucky. But it's mostly personal experiences. Everybody has a different experience sometimes. So sometimes equipment isn't always necessary for people to feel it.
That's
And then
good.
you also have to like be smart about where you go,
And careful.
and careful. So, and it's just not protecting your energy, it's protecting yourself, because we went to Suicide Bridge one day, and it's the terrain is rocky and hilly, and you have to like be aware of like your surroundings, because there's a lot of homeless people who live down there at nighttime, and they're sleeping, and then there's just random kids doing stupid stuff. So
Animals,
there's
coyotes.
We had like a pack of coyotes one day just watching us, and like we had a few people freak out. We're like, okay, we're leaving because they're freaked out. Yeah, I was in
Pasadena. Yes.
And that place is really cool. It's just you have to be aware of your surroundings. And then another good place that we went to is I don't know if it's there anymore, is Haunted Forest.
I was going to ask about that. Is it all completely? Did it perish during the fires?
I haven't been there.
I don't know
since it happened, since the fire. So
we attempted to go as far down on that street as we could, but it was blocked off, and like military was there with guns out, like they were not letting anybody in. So, and unfortunately, that street all the way at the very top is Haunted Forest. Mm-hmm. So. But it was in the red fire zone. So I don't know, but we did have an experience there. So it was either a bear or a Bigfoot. We don't know what the hell it was. But we heard something.
We heard knocking, and we heard like
crashing down the hill.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like, oh crap. We gotta go. We as much as we could in that terrain, because that area is not safe to run in.
No.
But we're like, okay, we're gonna be eaten by a bear or Bigfoot. We gotta leave. So
time to go.
Time to go. So you have to be aware of like things, and just be safe. Don't go by yourself.
No.
Always go with somebody,
a group of people, best thing.
Yeah. a group.
You never know who or what's out there. Not talking just spirits, but human elements. A lot of people have said that people used to do rituals and sacrifices up at the haunted forest and stuff. So, I mean, you want a group of people with you because protection. I always carry a knife, at least one. But yeah, it's you never know. You never know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And then they've also put up more fencing around the bridge too to prevent suicides.
Yeah.
So and they've done a lot of development down there as well. But there's still a part where not where the homes are, but it's across the street, and there's a little trail that goes downhill and around where you can get to the very, very bottom of the bridge.
Yeah.
And we usually go to that part. And then there's another section of like the middle part of the bridge. So we go to the very, very bottom where like if someone were to jump and they would land, that's where
there's still go. part.
Yeah.
There's a wash down there where people could still actually land in bad areas.
Yeah.
Luckily they've put a lot of fencing up to hopefully not allow it to happen. I mean, but
yeah, and there is a lot of homeless people, haunted forest and suicide bridge. So, and then when we were in haunted forest, there's a lot of people walking their dogs or just taking hikes
in the middle of the night. Yeah. Pretty wild. Yeah.
We only go to a certain point in the forest. We don't go up super high.
We go where the house was located.
Where the foundation of the house was. And then we usually just like investigate in that area. So we don't go up into the hills or anything like that. So I've never been up there. So I don't know.
I started to once. We didn't get very far. There wasn't really much out there. It was just, trees and brush and stuff like that where we were walking. So.
And Bigfoot.
Yeah. Now, Matt, didn't you tell me last time when we were there at the haunted forest that you saw some UFO or UAP
lights in the sky?
Lights in the sky.
Yeah.
Can you tell that story in the haunted forest? That's a good one.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Me and a few friends went up there, and we were just, walking up like we normally do, about to the same location where the house was, and I was looking up in the sky at the hill and the mountain line, and I was watching the stars and stuff, and one what I thought was a star looked like it was slowly coming down, and as soon as it would hit like the crest line of where the mountains were, it would shoot back up in the air again. And I watched this thing do it a few times, and then because I was focusing on the one, I kind of started focusing more all around it, and there was about maybe 4 or 5 of them doing the same exact thing, all in the same area of the sky. Just floating down almost like a snowflake really slowly, and then as soon as it hit the mountain line, boom, shoot back up in the air again. It happened for a little while, and then suddenly I looked up there and I couldn't see them moving like that anymore. So
and it's definitely weird lights up in there in that area.
These were in the sky, but there's always lights through the hills and stuff, which I think are just people walking with flashlights and stuff sometimes, but this was in the sky above the mountains and everything. So this was definitely different and nothing I've ever seen before or since, to be honest. And like I said, it slowly come down and then just shoot right back up into the sky again and then stop and then start to slowly come down again. It was wild. Never saw it again up there though, but that was very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. That place is really cool. So
yeah. It's cool. I hope it's still there in some way, shape, or form, and things.
I'm sure it is. There's probably just a lot less trees there, of course. So it'd be a lot more open of an area. A lot maybe easier to see if anyone's lurking around. Because with the trees and the bushes there before, you never know. You could be walking and there might be people on the other side of the bushes of the trees, and you don't even know about it. And same with coyotes and all that stuff too. So,
but I don't even know if they're allowing people back in that area right now.
Yeah, that I don't know. We haven't tried going back up there at all, so we don't even know if it's like closed off, if they're even letting people hike up there anymore.
Yeah, it's only like 7 miles from where we live, so we might go down there one day. And
some of the trails might have washed away with some of the rain we've had. We haven't had a lot of rain, of course, but who knows? Sometimes it doesn't take much to wash away those trails and stuff. So they might not be letting people up there. We really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it might be, a safety thing at this point because of, it's definitely probably not safe to like be up there right now. So I'm hoping, more of that area will be opened up, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So
we'll definitely go up there.
Yeah, if we can, we'll go for sure. But
awesome. So what's next? So we've got the mortuary on May 23rd and the investigation at the end of May on the 31st. So again, if you guys are in the Southern California area and want to join us for that, please send us either an email or a DM. Again, livingdeadfamily@gmail.com, or find us at livingdeadfam on Instagram and send us a DM for that. Anything you want to add in closing?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we're good. I think we kind of covered a lot of cool stuff.
I
And
think so too. I know we've been talking about doing this forever. We just needed to put it together and do it.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
this is fun.
It was fun. Yeah, and I got him to do it. So yay.
What mortuary?
I thought it was just gonna be me.
We can't disclose the location of the mortuary. We have to keep that under wraps. The owners are gracious for letting us do that, but we cannot disclose the location.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
for privacy. Yeah.
Yeah, because
it's family owned.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when we've gone, there has been in the chapel part there. We just missed a funeral, so there's actual,
funerals going on there all the time.
on,
Yeah,
and and if we're in the morgue, there's names on body bags or whatnot. So a lot of it has to be,
Yeah.
we have to make sure, we don't catch anything on recording that we.
Yeah, we've got to be really
careful. Yeah, at first they were gonna let us, post like the name, but then they're like, you know what? No, let's not do it. So even K-Frog didn't even post or say where it is. I mean, we did the general like area, but we have been asked to just keep that to ourselves. So and it is still an active mortuary. Yeah, it's definitely still active, and they do funerals, and they have an active morgue. So yes, it's very active. So
I don't know that we'll be live streaming that one, Fade to Black. The overall reception in there, we've tried before, and it was just really hard. But we do tend to run the camera just to see if we can catch anything. And then what we do typically is a premiere of that video afterwards.
Yeah.
So we don't, the camera's going on YouTube, but it goes into private mode. We don't air it live. And then that gives us an opportunity to, edit things out, edit people out, privacy, stuff like that. And then when we do that, we'll typically do it as a premiere. As far as the 31st go, will we be live streaming that? It'll be probably more of a quiet live stream if we do. We haven't decided. If we do, we'll let you know. Again, we'll probably record at some level, but we also want to be present for the people that come out to see us.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And then usually some of the homes we've done live. Haven't we done live or just okay?
I think we did. I think we did the one which we went back recently to cleanse again, but they moved. We did do that one live. That is in our feed.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we went back and saw these people again in a new home. There's clearly something there. We saw physical signs. The gentleman that lives there, he had some gnarly evidence of scratches on his back. I felt them myself. I said, "Can I please see?" And I could feel them. And they were three clawed scratches on his back.
And
so
there are multiple ones. It just wasn't one. It was all over.
He was tore up. I can't imagine what it looked like immediately after. This was like a week or two after the fact.
So it wasn't like hand claws.
No.
It was like 3.
It was 3.
Wow.
It was hairy.
That's like demonic right there.
Yeah. Yes.
3,
That's what it was.
3 scratch marks.
That's what it was.
Yeah, she sent me a video of it, and I know I sent it to you. Did you show Damien the video of it?
I don't know. You may have to send that because I probably had to clear it out of my cache. Yeah.
Okay, I'll send it again because it's pretty, like, it's all over. It's just not one little spot. It's his whole entire back.
The whole back. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beyond ghost right there. That's just a whole nother level of.
And so I guess that's kind of the point
attract.
Of what we were trying to say earlier is I know there's going and doing investigations, and then there's going and trying to help people. And going into a home where something not so good has physically hurt somebody. It's a calling, and it feels good to help, but it doesn't necessarily mean at the time that it feels good, because you can feel the entity in there and it's heavy. The way I feel it is I get sick. I get a headache. I get sick to my stomach. I start to feel extremely weak. And during that cleansing, all 3 of those things were happening quickly and simultaneously. I went from feeling great, things are good, I just went downhill in a matter of seconds. I had that same experience at the house. We were live. No, we weren't live. We videoed the one in Downey. Same thing. There was something very, very evil in nature there. And same thing. One minute you're doing fine. You walk into a space and you just feel like something sat on your chest. And then you just start to feel sick. And so the point is, it's not all fun and games. And you need to be careful. And so if it's something you're really wanting to do it with people that have experience, have good intentions, aren't just going out there to play games and say they're ghost hunting, investigating, doing it for the gram. It really can have consequences. And I know we've been talking about this with people for a long time. And that's just the message that we want to get across is it's not fun and games, and it can have consequences, and you've got to go in and do it for the right reasons. And doing the cleansings afterwards is, I think, I'm not trying to speak for you, but I think you and I are on the same page, is that's the purpose. There's a purpose behind it all. And and
especially for a home investigation. I mean, like a public place versus like a home, like you can go into like a museum, historical home, and they don't want you to cross anything over. They don't want you to cleanse anything because, first of all, for the most part, some of those spirits are not negative, and they also make money off of having those spirits there. That's right. They're not going to ask you to get rid of those at all. But a home one,
usually they want you to.
If somebody's is reaching out, like, something's in my home, there's a reason that you need to go in there with the intention of helping these people, not causing more problems, making
and
things
then walking
worse,
away,
and just like, oh well, bye. No. You have there's responsibilities in ghost hunting that you need to be aware of. So
we're often asked, oh, how do you get into people's houses? And I just don't think that they understand that we're not just going to go play in somebody's house for the night, that there's a purpose and a divinity behind it.
Yeah. Like any home investigation that we have had, they've reached out because they needed help.
That's right.
Or another investigator that I'm friends with, she's like, my aunt is having a lot of issues. Can you come with us? You know, so we've been to her house like 3 times now, I think. And she had a lot of stuff in the backyard going on. The first night that we were there, that was like crazy. You didn't really get experience what we did the first time there.
Yeah.
So that was
presence.
Yeah, for sure. And then, you know, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a ghost. It could be other things, you know.
That's a whole nother night, girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, that
it's true.
You know, with the portal,
yeah,
in that backyard, you know, there was other things coming through that. So, and there's nothing you could do about that at all.
No.
You know? So,
yeah. You can try.
All you could do is provide as much protection and tools to the homeowner as you can.
Yeah.
You know, and it's their job to maintain that after we leave. You know, and sometimes, you know, if they don't follow through, things can still be there or get worse. You know, so they need to maintain it. You know, it's like house maintenance. This is part of your home maintenance. You know, you have to, you know, do clearings and do protections and do everything that you need to make sure that it doesn't come back, you know?
Right.
You know? So, yeah. But
I'd say it was a successful show. Thank you both for coming on and giving us some time of your evening so we could introduce the investigation team, talk about what we've got coming up. It's busy season. Yeah, busy season for us. We're excited about all of it. We've got some, like I said, the 2 investigations now this month, on top of all the fun things that we're doing for spooky season, leading up to all of the fun haunts. Hi, baby. It's like, what?
That's what we heard at the top of the stream. I heard some part when we first started.
Yeah, that was her. This is Isla.
Hi, Isla. Hi,
she said, "Let me
go." she was resting here, nice and easy.
So,
can you tell everybody bye-bye?
she took off. She's done.
She's done.
She's
done. Awesome, done. You guys. Thank you for joining us. Stay here. I'm gonna end the stream. We're just gonna say goodbye real quick.
And thank you guys for joining us. It was lovely being here. Thank you.
Real quick, Luis, Matt, where can we find you guys on social media? People want to reach out to you and ask paranormal investigation stuff. Where can we find you?
Yes, Instagram, Spirit Seekers Paranormal. On Instagram, Facebook, we have a page, but I don't go on it. So just go to Instagram. I have like 5 different Instagrams for like my small business, for my Reiki business. So if you want Reiki, give me a call, you know, give me a DM. I have like 10,000 ones, but Spirit Seekers is the one. If you have an investigation that you need done in your home, DM us, you know, reach out. If you want to join us on the 31st, DM Living Dead Family, or you can DM us and then we can send you over the form. You can fill it out and then we'll send you the location and all the information you'll need for that day. And most likely we'll do some more investigations with Living Dead Family. We'll set something up again. So if more viewers and followers want to join us, we could definitely do that. We have no problem doing it. We love doing stuff with, you know, the followers. And it's, you know, we've had a couple of followers do Kellogg House with us. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. So they got to do like a really cool location for sure. So, but yeah, we definitely, you know, we appreciate you guys having us on and, you know.
Yes, thank you.
So you got it. No, thank you guys. All right, you guys, we will see you live tomorrow night. This guy's going to be at Disneyland with the kids. gearing up for the 70th anniversary, which starts in a week from tomorrow.
It's crazy.
I know. So stay tuned with him. I'm going to be working with some clients late into the night, so I'm going to miss out on the fun, but he will be there with the kids at Disneyland. And then yeah, we've got plenty more stuff coming throughout the month, including 2 investigations that we will at some point share somehow. So stay tuned for that. Matt and Luis, thank you. And we will see
Thank you, everybody.
We'll see you all a little later.
a little later.